There is a sleeveless dress in your closet right now that you bought because you loved it, and it has been to exactly one event. Every summer it stays on the hanger while you reach for something with sleeves, and every summer you tell yourself next year. My name is Margaret Wren, and today I am giving you 5 things that make a sleeveless dress work on real arms. Not toned arms, not a model's arms that have carried groceries and grandchildren and 60-odd years of living. Before we start, the piece of anatomy nobody explains because it changes what you should actually be looking for. The upper arm changes shape after 60 for reasons that have very little to do with effort. The triceps loses density, the skin above the elbow loses elasticity, and the fat that remains distributes differently than it did. That produces the softness at the back of the arm that so many women are self-conscious about. Here is what matters for dressing. That change is concentrated in a specific area, roughly from the shoulder to just above the elbow, on the back and underside of the arm, which means the problem is far more localized than most women treat it. Covering the entire arm is a very large solution to a fairly small area, and it is why the cardigan approach feels so disproportionate. You are covering everything to address one part. Nearly everything that follows works by dealing with that one area properly instead. Trick 1. The armhole is doing more than the strap. This is the detail I would put above every other thing in this video, and almost nobody looks at it. When women shop for sleeveless dresses, they look at the strap width. What actually determines how your arm reads is the armhole, which dressmakers call the armscye, and specifically 2 things about it: how far out toward your shoulder point it sits, and how low it cuts under the arm. A high, tight armhole that sits close to the body exposes the entire upper arm and draws a hard, curved line right through the area we just discussed. A wider armhole that extends further out toward the shoulder point covers the top of the arm and puts that curved line lower and further back, where it flatters. This is the whole reason a cap sleeve works and a narrow tank does not, even on the same woman on the same day. How to check it on a hanger. Look at where the armhole seam sits in relation to the shoulder seam. If the armhole curve starts well inside the shoulder point, that dress will expose more upper arm. If it extends out to or past the shoulder point, it covers the part most women want covered. You can also check this on dresses you already own, which explains why one works and another does not when they look similar. Trick 2. The sleeve that comes attached. Here is something available on dresses that simply does not exist on tops, and it is why I treat dresses as an easier problem to solve. A great many dresses come with a built-in flutter sleeve, an angel sleeve, or a soft cape overlay. These are cut as part of the dress rather than added on top, which means there is no separate garment, no bulk, no edge, where one thing ends and another begins. A flutter sleeve does something specific and clever. It falls loosely from the shoulder and covers the upper arm without touching it, and because it moves independently when you move, the eye reads motion rather than examining the arm underneath. The key is that it must fall away from the body rather than gripping. A fitted cap sleeve that ends mid-bicep creates a horizontal line at the widest point of the arm, which is the opposite of helpful. A flutter that hangs loose does not create that line at all. Search for flutter sleeve dress, angel sleeve dress, or cape sleeve dress, and you will find far more than you expect, and every one of them solves this without a single extra layer. That distinction between what genuinely flatters and what merely covers is why I wrote the Ageless Edit. It is a small one-time amount, less than a single alteration, and it saves you from the expensive guessing, the dress worn once, the layer bought in haste that never came out of the wardrobe again, cut by cut, fabric by fabric, with the exact search terms so you know what you are looking for before you go. It is the first link in the description and pinned at the top of the comments. Trick 3. One worn layer, chosen properly. If you want to layer over a sleeveless dress, and plenty of women reasonably do, the choice matters enormously, and most women reach for the wrong thing. A cardigan adds bulk and creates a hard edge where the sleeve ends. It also feels like covering, and that awareness sits with you all day. What works instead is an open, unstructured layer that never closes. A linen open front shirt, a chiffon kimono, a soft duster. The single rule governing all three is that you never button or belt it. Closed, it becomes a cardigan in different fabric, and you have lost the benefit. Left open, it creates two long vertical lines running the length of your body, and those lines lengthen the whole silhouette while the sleeve handles the arm. For outdoor summer events, linen is the only sensible choice, since it is one of the few fabrics that genuinely feels cooler as the day heats up. Look for open weave linen rather than a lined version, which defeats the purpose. I want to say something specific here before the last two, because it matters to a particular group of women. If you have had breast surgery, shoulder surgery, or lymph node removal, this open layer approach was built for you, and I want to be clear about why. It is non-compressive, so it does not press against scar tissue, it does not restrict lymphatic flow, and it is fully adjustable, so you can move it away from your body wherever you need to. If you are managing lymphedema specifically, choose linen or open weave cotton only. Nothing with nylon or spandex. Nothing elastic. And check anything you are unsure about with your medical team, because what I am giving you here is styling guidance rather than medical advice. And if you simply prefer more coverage with no medical reason at all, that is a complete reason on its own and requires no justification from anyone. Trick 4. Put the interest above the arm. The eye does not rest. It moves constantly toward whatever is most interesting in a frame, and if an outfit gives it nothing deliberate to land on, it finds something on its own. For most women carrying any self-consciousness about their arms, the eye drifts straight to exactly the place they wish it would not. That includes your own eye in the mirror. The fix is to give every eye in the room somewhere better to go, and on a dress specifically, the strongest place to put it is above the arm rather than below. A bold necklace at the collarbone draws attention upward toward your face and creates an anchor point above arm level. A strong neckline, whether a V or a square or an interesting collar, does the same job built into the dress itself. Good earrings work similarly. One element, not three. When everything competes, nothing wins, and a busy outfit sends the eye wandering again. The reason above the arm beats below on a dress is that a dress already carries its own visual weight in the skirt. Adding a bold shoe or a patterned bag to a dress frequently splits attention rather than directing it. On trousers, that works well. On a dress, keep the focal point high. Trick 5. Remove the line rather than covering it. This is the most technical of the 5, and the one that produces the most dramatic difference when you get it right. When your arm skin is noticeably different in color from the fabric beside it, your brain registers a line where the two meet. That line draws the eye, and once the eye is there, it stays. Remove the color difference and the line disappears, and the arm simply recedes into the rest of your silhouette. In practice, this means being deliberate about the color of the dress relative to your skin. A very high contrast dress, meaning one much darker or much lighter than your arms, creates the strongest line at the armhole. A dress closer to your own coloring creates the weakest. That does not mean you should only wear beige. It means that if you love a strong color, put the layer from Trick 3 in a tone that bridges between the dress and your skin, and the contrast line softens considerably. For prints, the guidance is straightforward. A print concentrated at the hem or the waist is safe because the eye travels there instead. A small all-over pattern is neutral. What to be aware of is a bold, high-contrast print strongest near the shoulder, which brings maximum attention to the armhole edge. One more note on the flutter sleeve, since it is the trick most women have never deliberately shopped for. Length matters as much as the cut. A flutter that ends at the mid-bicep covers the area we discussed and falls away cleanly. One that ends higher, closer to the shoulder, functions as a cap sleeve and leaves most of the upper arm exposed. And one that runs to the elbow starts to read as a full sleeve, which is fine if that is what you want, but changes the character of the dress entirely. Mid-bicep is the length that does the most work while still reading as sleeveless in spirit. Now, 3 practical things that apply across all 5. The first is where the dress ends at the shoulder relative to your bra. A great many sleeveless dresses have straps set narrower than a standard bra strap, which means the strap shows and you spend the event adjusting it. A bra strap converter clip costs a few dollars, turns almost any bra into a racerback, and quietly expands what you can wear by a considerable margin. The second is fabric weight, which affects a dress more than it affects a top. A thin, clingy fabric follows every contour, including the arm and shoulder. A fabric with genuine drape falls away and skims. Hold a corner of the fabric over your hand in the shop. If it flops softly, that is drape. If it holds its shape, it will stand away from you and add visual bulk. The third is a small alteration worth knowing about, because most women do not realize it is possible. A dressmaker can widen an armhole slightly, moving the seam further out toward the shoulder point, and it is neither expensive nor difficult on most dresses. If you own something you love that exposes more upper arm than you would like, that is a fixable problem rather than a permanent one. A brief word about photographs, since that is where a great many women decide they dislike how their arms look. A camera lens at close range distorts whatever is nearest to it, and in most group photos that happens to be the arm of whoever is on the end of the row. Standing at the end of a line, with your arm closest to the lens, will make that arm look considerably larger than it is. Standing toward the middle, or angling slightly so your shoulder, rather than your upper arm, faces the camera, removes most of that effect. It is a lens problem rather than an arm problem, and it has convinced a lot of women of something untrue. So there are your 5. Check the armhole rather than the strap. Look for dresses with a flutter or cape sleeve built in. If you layer, use one open, unstructured piece and never close it. Put your focal point above the arm rather than below, and soften the contrast line at the armhole rather than covering the whole arm. Every one of those addresses the specific area we talked about at the start, which is a few inches of upper arm, rather than treating the whole limb as a problem to be hidden. Here is the thought I want to leave you with, and I mean it plainly. Your arms have done everything. They have worked, carried, held people you love, and waved hello and goodbye more times than anyone could count. Nothing in this video is about apologizing for what they look like now. It is about knowing which dresses were cut for a body like yours and which ones were not, so you stop putting the beautiful one back on the hanger every July. That dress has been waiting. This summer is a reasonable time to wear it. Tell me in the comments which of these 5 you are trying first, And if you have had surgery and the open layer spoke to you, I would be glad to know that too. And if there is a dress hanging unworn in your closet, describe it to me, because I can usually tell you in a line which of the 5 it needs. I read every single one. I am Margaret Wren, and I will see you in the next one.